Hi, my beautiful twin flames, and welcome to another video for your Divine Masculine. Thank you so much to my new subscribers. Welcome to my channel. This is a read here for the Divine Masculine's headspace, heart space, and action space. And if you book one of my love and relationship spread on my website, this is kind of the sample reading that you'll be getting. So you'll see what your person is thinking, what they're feeling, and whether or not they're going to communicate or come towards you in some way. So let's start with the Divine Masculine. We've had such an amazing shift here recently with the full moon in Leo and a lot at play with Uranus, the planet of change. So if you've recently been going through some crazy changes, this is totally normal, something sudden coming through your life. That's what this time is all about. And it's giving us a chance to up level. So we start off our reading here with the Five of Swords in reverse, indicating that the masculine is really overcoming a lot of pitfalls and mental blockages that he's had in the past. Then we have the Daughter of Pentacles, also in reverse. That's a very interesting card. So we have Earth present, we have Air present, and I feel like there's a vulnerability with this card too. And then we have the Daughter of Wands in reverse. Very interesting start to the reading. We also have the Father of Swords here in reverse on the back of the deck. What does all of this stuff mean? Very interesting. Okay. So I kind of gather that the Divine Masculine is really looking at a lot of aspects in his life. The aspects where he is passionate, where the aspects that provide stability, and the aspects that have hindered him from moving forward in the past, or just things that have been on his mind. So this is a great time to go inward because we're having Mercury retrograde in a couple of days on the 30th. So this is a perfect time to go inward. The masculine is hearing the call for ascension, hearing the call to begin again in some way. And that's really wonderful because we haven't seen the Divine Masculine be able to transition well in the past. He has this pattern of trying to thwart look at this is crazy, thwart the things that he has to do to begin again or birth a new age or overcome negative karma in his life, areas where he needs to forgive himself or other people. So I really feel like, oh my God, I really feel like, remember in my last video I was saying something might happen with Uranus because it is the planet of unexpected change, to where if the Divine Masculine doesn't go inward and fix these things himself, it will be brought upon him. So that looks like something has happened here to reveal to the Divine Masculine his inner truth. And look, we even have healing here in the middle of this deck. So the Divine Masculine right now is rediscovering a lot of aspects of himself that he previously suppressed. And I feel like a lot of this also the big thing it has to deal with here is, are you acting from a place of fear or are you acting from a place of love? Everything boils down to fear and love. And when we do things out of fear, we're motivated by a negative impulse. And sometimes it's designed to protect us. Let me just say, I have to grab this. It just fell on the floor. You've been in my dreams. But more often than not, it's what we perceive as our gut feeling. It's actually a survival mechanism because we've been wounded somewhere in the past. So if you're feeling recently, you feel like home to me, that you've had an event in your life that has come up and been triggering, then it's definitely a call to look at how that thing has affected your life and move beyond it, move through it. Lying was just easier for me than telling you the truth. And we have truth. So within respect to you, the Divine Masculine is realizing all the ways that he's lied to himself. It was easier just to go through the motions. It was easier just to pretend that these things didn't exist. When twin flames come together, they really crack each other open. And you realize things about the way you were raised, and about the way the other person was raised, really, because very often our counterpart is our counterpart in a lot of ways. So if you had a cushy family life, they didn't, or vice versa. And that's because you're supposed to come together. And, there are love and fear polarities of both situations, to meet in the middle and say, I understand you, you understand me, or at least I understand your point of understanding. And now we're going to show the world how these two opposite polarities and extremes can help each other and create a world of peace. We also have, is it possible to forgive and forget on the back of this deck? So that's the headspace. And you could say that there's a lot of headspace there, a lot of thoughts going on. And that the masculine also feels pretty green with the Daughter of Swords and the Daughter of Pentacles. That they're birthing perhaps that feminine side to stay. They realize that that feminine side is what helps them overcome the despair that they've been through in their life. And there's a lot of, depending on where you are in the world, there are a lot of people in different places that have different ideas on what is acceptable to talk about and what isn't. And is it even acceptable to talk about trauma? That's a relatively new concept. And in some cases, some people are really, they almost introduce themselves and say, hi, my name is blank and I'm an addict, or whatever. And it can be really affronting. But at least it's honest, sincere, and real. So we don't always get it right when we have power imbalances in the world or an imbalance within a polarity, especially with how something's affected us. So you could say, not to make this like a psychology thing, and I will also draw these cards about what the masculine is feeling right now. Look at this, one more daughter, the Daughter of Cups. This is wild. But if you've been through a psychological event, and it's really hard not to associate or not to prejudge or assume that somebody that looks like that person that impacted you is also going to yield the same interaction. So I'll just let you sit with that. If that brought up anything for you, then that is definitely Son of Pentacles in reverse, a sign that this is something you have to work through. And these are really good things. So fear has the ability to show us what we need to work on, what we need to transform into love. And the Ace of Swords. So the Divine Masculine has definitely had a aha moment here. I like this card for the aha moment. It often reminds me of the Tower, but it's like the positive flip side of the Tower. And of course we have the one represented here. So a lot of positive, independent, motivating, unifying energy with this new beginning. So we have the Divine Masculine coming out of his mental blockages, and we have somebody here who is ready to take up Excalibur, if you're familiar with the Arthurian legends, to step into that true life purpose, I see. And we have, the rainbows represented here. So we have an alignment of the chakra system that we haven't seen previously from the Divine Masculine an embodiment of that as much before. We also have the Son of Pentacles. So there's a lot of juvenile energy, but it's really good that I think the Divine Masculine is feeling more comfortable starting over and realizing that we have moments throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month and year, where things come up specifically so that we should start over. If you're a female, then you understand this through the cycles of menstruation. But it also happens in nature with the moon, and it happens with the seasons, and we've designated different parts of the year as well to honor these things. So let's find some more information here. We have the Daughter of Pentacles in reverse, or the Daughter of Cups here in reverse, the Son of Pentacles in reverse, and the Ace of Swords. Tell me more about this. Look, freedom. Yep. This is all about figuring out how to bridge that gap from where they were to where they want to be. We have anxiety, all right. And we have connect. So, up-leveling, as I've explained in a few of my client readings recently, it's not always a sun and roses experience. Sun and roses. Sunshine and roses. Up-leveling, ascending, this whole process can be really terrifying. Whether you've gone through your dark night of the soul, I feel like a lot more people are tuning into the twin flame journey. You might be at the beginning of your journey. When you transmute dark to light, it feels extremely uncomfortable. Biologically, these things get stored biologically. These anatomically, I should say, these things get stored in our tissues. And sometimes, like when you're working out really hard, you'll feel them like come out. It's really crazy. It's not just as simple as, oh, okay, I want to let this go, I'm going to let it go. It's like the process of the body sometimes having to purge and recycle so that, so to put this in perspective, if we get like a new skeletal system every 12 years and we accumulate some kind of trauma between now and then by the end of those 12 years, sure, it's all gone if we've done that work. But throughout that period, there will be less and less and less, but some of it will still be there. And then if there are more events that trigger those things, it could increase the amount of toxins or assure, perhaps in a way, a similar negative experience might happen. And then this is how we recycle sometimes that trauma in the body and may even preempt more of it to come into our existence. Wow, I'm just filled with thoughts like tonight, so pardon my ramblings if you don't want to listen to all of this, but Spirit is just coming through me quite in droves right now. So I've reminded of you constantly. Oh. I'm sorry I couldn't do right by you. Oh, I haven't had this card before. Okay. And then we have your intensity frightens and allures me at the same time. So again, here we're talking about polarities. So the Divine Masculine, these signs, whenever you get synchronicities, these are reminders that there's still work to be done. It's also a reminder that your person is working, which is really amazing, but you're supposed to be simultaneously doing this stuff along with your twin. So if you're seeing 1111, 111, 222, 333, these are all great signs, and I know that some readers say like, oh, that means you're on the right path, and it might be, but it could also be a reminder to you to get back on the path or stick with it. So pay attention and tune into those things. It's really important. The divine masculine is definitely getting a lot of that. And it's almost like reminding them, like, hey, freedom awaits you with these signs. If you follow the signs to the end of the rainbow kind of type deal, there you will find your pot of gold, basically. But you have to stick with it. Now we do have, I'm sorry I couldn't do right by you. So like, also part of the ascension process, there's a lot of guilt that comes up. You tend to blame yourself for not knowing what you didn't know beforehand. Screw it. Like, we are where we are. We need to own where we are. Everything happens for a reason, and you can't beat yourself up about stuff. This was a relationship by design. So if you harm yourself with negative thoughts about not feeling good enough, or, oh, I should have known better, you're hurting your person, and you're also hurting source in that way, because you were created perfectly as you are right now, I'm telling you. And you were created to improve yourself as life continues and goes on, because that's why we're here. We're here to become the best version of ourselves we can possibly be. And nobody cares if you're not perfect. It's just about the striving and the trying to get there. So that's kind of a wonderful message that's come through recently. And then we have, your intensity frightens and allures me all at the same time. So this is so beautiful. Like, I'm sure, especially since if some of you have been dreaming about your twin, or they've been dreaming about you, you can feel that. Sometimes it feels like a rush, like coming in, or you really feel like that person's energy, like that sexual magnetism just pulling at you. And it's so wonderful. So when that happens, if that happens, don't shy away from this. Lean into it. That's kind of what creates those runner-chaser dynamics. So like if we're like, oh my God, I can feel this and it feels amazing and it's scary and I don't want this person to have control over me at this time, or something like that, then that resistance like sends us running as opposed to sending them running. Or sometimes sends them running after we're running. So like, it's all about getting more comfortable with this intensity. And I think it's a lot easier for women to do to a certain extent, because we are familiar with emotions. But we all have masculine and feminine polarities within us. So it's just about tapping into that other side. Excuse me. Okay, so 10 of Pentacles, beautiful 10 of Pentacles for our action space. I saw the Mother of Cups here. Maturity is on the way. Yeah, this is gorgeous. We have stars and hearts over here and flowers. And we have hearts and stars and some eyes as well. I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but I feel that there's an intense symbolism there for someone. Okay, the Seven of Wands in reverse. Interesting. And then we have the Chariot in reverse. So with the Chariot, the energy of rushing towards you is coming. This person really wants to go forward. They're getting over this illusion and confusion of the moon. And perhaps with this moon came this realization. And they know that they can have I think they know for the first time ever that the 10 of Pentacles, the good life, good family, good job, good home, good partnership is possible with you. When they tap into this feeling energy rather than this thinking energy, they have it. I feel that this card represents a little bit of unconfidence, which, is not a strange thing for the masculine, to kind of toggle back and forth here. But I think it's really, look, we have the sun and the moon and Earth in alignment. So it's coming. It's all coming. This is a very positive sign. For those of you that feel like your divine masculine has given up on you, this is a sign that he has turned a new leaf. We have movement. See? Movement. This is wonderful. There is movement. Even if there isn't movement towards you right now, there is movement coming. So move on and childhood. So moving on from childhood wounds, then we have endurance, okay? Endurance with the connection. Look how those eyes match there. Endurance in that hard heart space where we must exist in order to find love. Ooh, and I saw communication. Yep, communication is coming. But I also saw move on, and I want to point out this because a couple of our readings have come up to where if you are in this seeking energy, when is my person going to reach out? When are they going to talk to me? When am I going to see them again? Do they care? Blah, blah, blah. Not to, make any light of that, because I also fall into those energies from time to time myself. There is an obsessive quality to this relationship that some psychologists have just kind of brushed off as, oh gosh, what is the term? If anybody knows this term, you can put it in the comments below. Now I'm going to figure this out. They basically brushed it off to say like, if you've experienced rejection for the first time in your life, then no wonder you're basically obsessed about it. But here's the kicker. I'm going to drop some knowledge right now. This is what I believe. Obviously, there's a vast spectrum of opinions out there. So, don't get crazy up in arms and don't take everything I say as law. Do your research. It's always the plethora of opinions and the individual situation and research that goes into that is a culmination of the truth. But from my perspective, the reason that these psychologists, which is science, they want to explain the metaphysical. I get that. Very often I feel like spirituality and science are both sides of the coin, or two opposite sides of the same coin when it comes to explaining the metaphysical or faith or just things that are immaterial, basically. But there needs to be a mutual attraction and a mutual love. Like, it almost needs to be said, at least in my experience. And then the separation comes for it to be a twin flame connection. Which doesn't mean that your connection isn't a soulmate connection if that didn't happen, or that connection is just in its early stages and it has yet to come. But these scientists kind of brush this off because they want to say, well, it's this obsessive quality that somebody can't get over from feeling rejection, which is valid out there. But if two people have admitted to each other that they love one another, then it's not a rejection because it's unrequited. It's a rejection because there's spiritual work that needs to be done. And enter all the information about twin flames that where, your person and you come from completely different cultures, faiths, opposite sides of the earth, to where there's like, maybe one of them is married, a wedge that's deliberately there so that sometimes you can really just see the end in sight already. No matter how strong the love is, it wasn't meant to be for this time. And of course, all of the metaphysical aspects of, being able to where your psychic gifts emerge or become stronger. So anyway, I throw in my 2 cents there, that for most of us, we know that it is this connection, even if a lot of doubt occurs, because it's so bizarre. But we know that we had the love of the other person, have the love of the other person. And that's what makes it so hard, is that in this instant gratification culture, it's so hard not to have what you want right now. It's so hard to know that something that could have worked out, should have worked out, was so perfect. Why didn't it work out for that moment? Could only work years later or months later. And this isn't true for all twins. Some twins don't go through a separation stage. Some of their separation stages are very small. So again, grain of salt. But, and I'd love to know what you think about all of this as well. So feel free to leave this in the comments below. Anyway, so that's the difference. So this card, Move On, is to say, if you know you're in this connection, or if you know that your twin is out there, you've experienced this ascension process, or if you've had a spiritual awakening, or if you're just hoping that you'll come across this, do something else. Put that attention back into yourself, and these things will manifest and come to you. Because it's often when we don't want something that it comes to us. But it's more likely that when we are investing in ourselves and making ourselves the best version we can be, somebody comes along to fit perfectly in for us. So if seeing you reminds me of the things I know deep down, and that's not always easy to deal with. Again, what have we been saying this entire time? We don't even need to discuss that card. That is basically this reading. And you can be assured your DM is doing the work. Now it's easier to stay away right now, but I glossed over that because we know, and for some of you, that's not going to be the case pretty soon. So if you want to know if that's you, book a reading with me. It's in the description box below. It just came up again. Okay, so I guess this is just something that needs to be said. For some of you, it's just easier for them to do all this inner work by themselves. And, it's less confusing and less distracting that way as well. Don't take it personally. And then we have, is it possible to forgive and forget? So again, that kind of guilty energy of, I'm sorry I wasn't the man that I should have been, or woman I should have been, when I should have been that person. And then we have on the bottom, I miss you regardless of how things seem. So I feel like for a lot of us, if the DM reaches out right now, he just feels like he would just get sucked right back into it. And then there's this fear that having not done that spiritual work, or even if it's the last of the spiritual work, there's, again, varying degrees, that he'll lose us forever. And he doesn't want that to happen. So he's staying away to make sure that when he's ready, not when he's made up his mind, but when the universe is ready to bring you together, when he knows he's in a position to not be a burden to himself or anyone else, when he's emotionally mature, when he's financially secure, when he's tied up all the loose ends, when there's this foundation that you guys can build upon, he will come back. And that's when you'll hear from your person. That's when you'll hear from your person to where it will be solid and considered like reuniting. Some of you might hear from your person before then. And I always put a disclaimer on that you'll know if it's that situation, or if it's just like a, hey, how you doing? You still love me? Or like, hey, how you doing? I'm still mad at you, and all the things in between. So we just have to choose love over fear. And for our personal card, we are related to each other. By taking care of myself, I take care of you. By taking care of you, I take care of myself. This is my prayer for knowing how to help. What a beautiful card to end this reading. So this is basically saying what we were just saying. By the Divine Masculine taking some time to attend to his stuff, he can better take care of himself and you. He's actually taking care of you through him, because you guys are two sides of the same coin. And so if anybody wants to know how they can further this ascension process, get that time to where you can reunite for good, you are also supposed to. It's a little dig at us divine feminines here. We are also supposed to do this work. We cannot just be waiting around for these people to do theirs. We have to do ours as well. So that's what I have for you today. I hope this resonated. I hope I didn't babble too much, but there's a lot of energy around. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to book a reading in the description box below. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel. Share this video. Comment. Whatever. Super awesome to hear from you guys. And thank you so much. So I'll see you next week.